This is SEO Fox. It's a custom GPT that's an expert in creating SEO optimized, engaging, and original full-length articles. We're going to turn this custom GPT into its own web app, and this is a pretty complicated one, so this is going to be a fun one to do in this video. It's going to have multiple steps, and hopefully I'll be able to show you how my mind works when I try to build out these workflows. And then by the end of the video, hopefully you can do this too. To see exactly what this custom GPT does, let's start with a keyword here within ChatGPT. Let's say my keyword is business loans. So I'm a company that either offers business loans or finds other companies that do. First, SEO Fox gives us 5 possible titles for the article. And I can look through all of these and pick which one I like the most. I like number 3. So I'm going to type in 3, hit enter. Next, it writes a 5-point outline for the article, 5 sections, and I can approve or disapprove. Let's say I like this, I'm going to go I approve. Then it goes and writes the introduction. Not only can we turn custom GPTs into a web app and make money, but there are also limitations inside of ChatGPT that we can get around with our own web applications. This is one of them. We know the outputs for custom GPTs are short. They cap it at a specific number of tokens, which is why for SEO Fox, it tells you to please copy this section into a draft document and then continue on with the process. It won't just write the full article, it's way too much text. But if we build this out into a web application, we can do this automatically. We can run step after step after step in the back end with workflows, and the user won't have to touch a thing. So that is a huge benefit, but I'm going to write continue. Now it's going to create an image. This is the header image for the article. And already there's a bug with this custom GPT. In my prompt, I'm telling it to do a 16:9 aspect ratio. So that's a horizontal image, but it spit out a square image. Incredibly frustrating, but this is what happens when you use custom GPTs. It has such a bloated system prompt that it doesn't follow simple directions. But it wrote the next section of the article, and what would happen is if I like this, I would copy it into a draft document, I would write continue, it would write the next section, and it would do that for all 5 points of the article, and then finish with a conclusion. So you get a really nice, long, SEO optimized article around a specific keyword. But already a lot of the outputs are out of our control. So let's go build this out in Bubble and take back the power of our custom GPTs. To start, I have a blank page called SEO Fox. You're going to need to install the API connector and connect the OpenAI API. I've showed how to do this in many previous videos, so I won't go over it again. But if I expand this call, we are going to need GPT-4 or GPT 3.5 Turbo, and we're also going to need DALL-E 3. So it's 2 specific calls under the OpenAI umbrella that we'll need in order to make SEO Fox work. The custom GPT starts with a keyword, so we're going to need an input box. But what I like to do first is add a title to the page. So I'm going to take the text element, I'm going to drag it in, and let's call it SEO Fox. I also like to add a text explainer that tells the user how this custom GPT works. So I'm going to drag in another text element. I'm going to copy the text that we had within ChatGPT. I like to add a gray shaded background to the text element. It looks a bit cleaner. It helps with design. I'm going to click this element. I'm going to click the text one below it, right click, group elements in column container. And then I'm going to double click on the column container, go to layout, and we're going to set the max width to 700 pixels. So when the page stretches, it won't stretch longer than 700 pixels wide. I'm also going to change the horizontal alignment to center it, and then we'll go 50 pixels from the top. Now we can hit preview at any point during our development to see how the page looks. So far, so good. Let's grab an input box. I'm going to scroll down, click it, drag it onto the page, and let's make sure it stretches all the way to 700 pixels. For the placeholder, I'm going to write keyword, and then we'll need a button, so I'm going to click the element, drag it into the group, and let's write start. We know that in the first step of SEO Fox, it shoots out 5 possible titles surrounding that keyword. I want to display those 5 titles on the page and have the user click one of them to continue the article creation process. For that, I'm going to use a repeating group. So let's drag this onto the page. For the type of content for the repeating group, it's going to be text. For the data source, we're going to have to create an article data type. So I'm going to go to data. I'm going to add a new type and call it article. Hit create. And we need a new field, and that's going to be titles. That field type is going to be text, and it's going to be a list because we're going to get 5 titles to choose from. So I'm going to hit create. Back in design, we can double click on the page and make the type of content for the page an article. Now in the repeating group, I can go to data source and go current page article, and then it's titles. We're going to need 5 rows because there's going to be 5 titles to choose from. And then we're going to drop a text into the first cell of the repeating group. Then it autofills each cell with that text element. And for the dynamic data, it's going to be current cells text. Now let's build out the workflow for this first part of SEO Fox. So I'm going to click on the start button and then go add workflow. So when the start button is clicked, we are going to make an API call. For the model, I'm going to choose the new GPT-4 Turbo. For the system content message, I'm going to write create 5 inventive titles based on the given keyword. Separate each title by a comma. That comma delimiter is very important because we're separating each title and then adding it to the list data type. For the content, it's going to be the input keywords value. For the next action, we're going to go data, make changes to a thing. We're changing the current page article, and titles, we're going to set the list as the result of step 1, choices, first item, message content, split by, and then we're separating by the comma. So if everything goes exactly as planned, we'll have 5 different titles for the article. To test it out, I'm going to go to data, I'm going to go to app data, and then we're going to create a new article. Let's hit create. I'm going to click on this edit icon. We're going to grab the unique ID. Then we're going to go to our SEO Fox page. And in the URL, I'm going to go / paste in that unique ID and hit enter. And now this page is the article that we created. So all of our edits will make changes to that particular article. For the keyword, I'm going to write email marketing. Let's hit start. And there we go. We got 5 titles. Very cool. They all showed up on the page. So there's a few things I don't like already. One, I don't like that there's quotation marks around every title. So let's remove those. And also I want the user to be able to click on one of these titles and it continues the process. So first, let's remove the quotation marks. So I'm going to go to workflow, and in the titles set list action, I'm going to add one more part. We're going to go each item, find and replace. We're going to find the quotation marks and replace it by nothing. Next, I'm going to go to design. Then I'm going to click on the first text element. We're going to go add workflow. Now, when that text is clicked, we need to write the outline. So I'm going to go to actions, plugins, GPT. I'm going to change the max tokens to 1,000 so it doesn't get cut off. I think we can use GPT 3.5 Turbo for the outline. It will save us a bit of money. For the system content message, I'm writing draft a 5-point outline for an article with the following title, each point serving as a potential subheading. For the user inputs, I'm going to go insert dynamic data, current cells text. So it's taking what the user clicked on and then running the API call. Now, what do we want to do with that result? Well, we want to display it to the user and have them confirm before continuing on with the process. So I'm going to go to data, data types, click that article. We're going to create a new field. This time it's going to be outline, and the field type is going to be text. Let's hit create. Now back in workflows, our new action, we're going to go data, make changes to a thing. The thing we're changing again is the current page's article. And this time we're going to go outline equals the result of step 1, choices, first items, message content. Don't ask me why Bubble has you input all of those things. We're just grabbing the final text. but that is how the API calls are structured. Now back in design, I'm going to drag in a rich text input. And in that rich text input, the initial content is going to be current page's article outline. So once the outline is created, it's going to appear in the rich text input. The user is going to be able to edit that outline and then confirm it before the next step. So I'm also going to copy this button and let's drop it below the rich text input. I'm going to write confirm on the button, and under layout, it's going to be hidden. But when the current page article's outline is not empty, we are going to show the button. So it's going to be invisible unless there's an outline, then it's going to show it. Let's test what we have so far. Again, let's use email marketing for the keyword. I'm going to hit start. There we go. We have 5 titles. Now when I hover over the title, my mouse pointer changes, which means I can click this element. Let's click this 4th one. And then there we go. There's the outline. Now I can click in this and I can change the text. I could delete this point, for example. I can make edits to the sections. Let's remove this part. And all in all, when I'm ready, I can just hit confirm and continue on. Don't focus on the visuals when you're building out your custom GPTs into a web app. I like to focus on the functionality first and then clean it up and make it look pretty. Like if I was going to clean this up, I would make this text bigger, make it look more like buttons that we can click. This text is too small. I would make it larger. I would maybe divide sections by a full line or start removing sections before once we're on to the new part. There are many things that we can do with design. I'm going to rearrange this page a bit to make it a bit cleaner. I'm thinking this would work well with the inputs on the left side and then a running version of the article on the right side. Let's double click on the page. I'm going to make the builder width a bit larger so we have some room to play with. And instead of a column, we're going to make it a row. So a column stacks every new element from top to bottom. A row stacks every new element from left to right. And I'm going to click on this group, and instead of 700, we're going to do 500, exactly half. And on the other side is going to be a rich text input. I'm going to drag it onto the page. We're also going to eventually create a header image. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to grab the image element, drag it onto the page as well. Let's hold these 2 elements, right click, group elements in a column container. Now let's stretch that image all the way to the end. We're going to be making a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I'm going to click keep element aspect ratio fixed, and it is going to be 16:9. And then we have that rich text input at the bottom. Let's go to data, data types. In the article, we're going to create a new field. This is going to be image. That field type is also going to be an image. Let's hit create. We also want a running text of the article. So let's click create a new field. Let's call this one content. That field type is going to be text, hit create. Back in design, this image is going to be a dynamic image. It's going to be the current page article's image. And then the content in the rich text input is going to be current page article's content. I'm also going to make this group 50 pixels from the top, and you can see the page starting to come together. On the left side, we have the SEO Fox and all the user inputs, and on the right side, we're going to have the completed article. Because we have a new page layout, there's a couple things we need to change. Now in workflow, when the user clicks the title, we're actually going to do something different now. I'm going to add an action. We're going to go data, make changes to a thing. The thing to change is going to be the current page article, and the field we're changing is content is equal to the current cell's text, whatever the user chose. I'm going to move this to the front, and I'm actually going to add H1 tags around that text so that the user knows that's the title. For another action, we're going to go to plugins, DALL-E 3, and for the prompt, it's also going to be the current cell's text. Let's drag that over here. I'm going to click on this arrow, go data, make changes to a thing. The thing to change is going to be the current page article. And what we're changing is the image is going to be the result of step 2. That's the DALL-E 3 API call. It's going to be that URL. So it's going to save an image into the database and apply it to the article. I'm going to change the outline step to write 5 subheadings for an article with the following title. Separate each subheading with a comma, and the title of the article is the one that the user chose. In the data type, I'm going to delete the outline field. Let's create a new field, call it outline again. It's going to be a text, and this time it's going to be a list. So we can refer to that outline later in the article. So our new action at the end of this workflow is going to be data, make changes to a thing. We are changing the current page's article, but this time outline is going to be set list, result of step 4's choices, first item, message content. And again, we're going split by. Text separator is going to be the comma. And then just in case it has quotation marks, we're going to go each item, find and replace. The text defined is going to be quotation marks and replace it by nothing. The last step of this workflow, we're going to go to plugins, GPT. Let's again use GPT-4 Turbo. The system content message is going to be write an introduction paragraph for an article with the following title, write in a professional yet witty style. And then our input is going to be the title that the user chose. In the future, we can also add drop-down boxes where the user can select the style and format of the article. Give them even more options. And then the result of that introduction API call. Let's go click to add a new action, data, make changes to a thing. We are changing the current page article, and this time the content is going to be this article's content. So everything that we have so far within the article, but we need to add the result of step 6. So I use find and replace. And what I do is I find the current article's content and I replace it by the current article's content. But then I add a line break, and then we add result of step 6, choices, first item, message content. And then we can go to rich text editor and make sure there's a space in between the line. I hit save. So again, in case that was confusing, we are hacking the system to continue to add text to the article. We're using the find and replace command. We're finding the current content of the article and we're replacing it by the current content of the article. So this is a wash. This means nothing changes except we're adding the result of step 6. Unfortunately, you can't just add the result of step 6 to this content because as you can see, there's no space within this input. We can't format it correctly. Let's test it out to see what we have so far. So for the keyword, I'm going to write make money online. This is the key phrase we're targeting. Hit start. It gives us 5 titles to choose from. Let's choose the first one. It adds it as a heading to our article. Now it's going to craft the picture with DALL-E 3. There we go. And then it also wrote the introduction paragraph for us. And we can go in and we can add some text here. We can delete some text if we want to. This is a full rich text editor on the right side. So it's pretty cool. Our custom GPT is coming together in a nice clean design. Just so this video doesn't run on for hours, I'm going to add one more step. And what we need to do is take the outline that was created. We want to start writing sections for each part of the outline. And we can do this automatically by adding an action. What we're going to do is we're going to add a custom event. Let's go trigger a custom event. Let's create that event here. We're going to go custom, create a custom event. The event name will be write article. And back in this workflow, we're going to trigger that custom event. In this custom event, we're going to have an action. And of course, what we're going to do is we're going to go to plugins, OpenAI, GPT. For the max tokens, let's go 2,500. This is going to be a big section of the article. For the system content message, I'm going to input, write a full piece of content for the following subheading. Don't write an introduction or conclusion. And the input is going to be the current page article, outline, first item. So it's the first item in that outline, section number 1. And what we're going to do is add another action, data, make changes to a thing. Again, we're changing the current page article. Its content is going to be this article's content. And just like we did last time, we're going to go find and replace. We're replacing this article's content, replacing by this article's content. Let's add a line break and go the result of step 1's choices, first item, message content. And then I'm going to go to rich text editor, make sure there is a space, hit save, which means this workflow will write the first section of our article. We can instead call this custom event section 1, and at the end of it, trigger another custom event. This time, call it section 2, and it can be the exact same workflow. I'm going to copy each action, paste it in. Let's do this too, copy, paste it in. But in section 2, instead of the first item, it's going to be item number 2. And then we can rinse and repeat until all sections of the article has been written, and then add a conclusion. I'd also like to add a download article button, which packages all of the content into a document and the images, then downloads it to the user's computer where they can upload to their favorite CMS. Let's test it one more time to make sure everything works up until this point. For the keyword, I'm going to write classic cars. I'm going to choose the second title. Here is the image. Here's the introductory paragraph. And here are the first 2 sections of the article. If you want your article to break up the sections a bit cleaner, I'd go back to this find and replace action. And I'm going to add one more line in between. And it's going to be this article's outline, first item. Let's go to rich text editor. Let's space them out neatly. And I'm going to put H2 tags around the subheading. So now the article looks like this. There we go. If this concept is interesting to you, we dive way deeper in my online course, where we'll all learn how to actually package these custom GPTs so that we can charge our customers to use it. Everything from monetization to marketing to design fundamentals and advanced concepts. Click the link in the description below. It's called How to Build a Custom AI App. And if you like this video, I have 2 more on the screen right now. Pick the most intriguing one to you, give it a click, give it a watch. I'll see you in there. Peace.